All right, my guys, how are we? We're gonna power through this, right? So, it's the origin story part. Oof, forgot. I have leftover hot chocolate. Yay! Ha ha! All right, where are we? Right, story. I think this is part five right now. The actual startup. So, I bravely opened my mouth in front of people. I tried my best. I remember at that point in time, I took a desk in the same area that I was in. And remember, the goal is always to find the community. Goal is always to like find the people that are doing the things that you want to do, that are doing the things that you're trying to learn, trying to understand, trying to grow into. And every once in a while, you meet that gem that kind of opens your eyes to something. And they don't really explain. They don't really like. They just reveal a possibility. Like it's there, something that you had no clue of, you couldn't see, and you literally probably would have to like learn a whole lot in order to get to figure it out. But they point it out, and then you have to figure out the connection between you and that kind of like thing. Anyways, I just had an image of a camera somewhere here, and then actually having these conversations differently. This is fun. Okay, but anyways, so that time I think by June, July, I think by July, mid July to August 2022, I had moved to the same place where I was like studying in the boot camp, but I actually took like a desk. And I was excited to be like part of a community. They called themselves a community. The whole area over there, the co-working space area, they kept calling themselves a community. It was suffering at its finest, dude. Just because I can't name a desk a chair and suddenly it becomes a chair. I can't look at a chair. I can use the desk as a chair. It doesn't mean it's a chair. It still is a desk. So hypocrisy, the beauty of mankind is our hypocritical nature. We always like claim things. We decide on things. We point at things, and we're always under the whole like pretense that we're doing something when most of the time we're not. Now again, like I'm a bit anal when it comes to these things because if I'm doing something, I'm doing it for a purpose. Even if I'm just chilling, like chilling is an active effort for me for some fucking reason. Like a lot of people, they have it easier maybe, or just they figured it out. I still haven't, or I feel like every single time I want to chill, I need to actively kind of like get into it. Super cute stuff. But anyways, so what happened is remind me, I need to send a message. But anyways, so as I actually am progressing, I keep asking questions. I'm hanging out. I'm sitting with the people. I'm coding a bit. I'm building the platform in my head. I'm writing stuff, and it's all over the place. I'm learning new things. I'm reading different books, and I'm trying my best to kind of like figure out what to grab on, what to hold on. I think by November, and it was like literally in my head, like I am actually building a company. I'm building a website, a startup, whatever it is I want to call it. But that's stuff. It's gonna end up as a fucking like company with engineers, with salespeople, with marketing people, all that stuff. That's how it's going to end up. Like everything will end up with staff, with teams, with all that good stuff. And ultimately, at one point, I kept like always trying to discuss ideas with people, and I always would like, I really want you to imagine this as a metaphor. Like, if you're actually like, if you're wiping yourself with a towel after like, yeah, you finish your shower, there's gonna be some water in the towel. And I want you to imagine what if you decided to use that water. So, like, anytime you're talking to somebody that's doing his own thing, it's the equivalent of trying to squeeze a towel after you're done from the shower. How much money has stuck on you, and how much water is stuck on you, and how much water are you gonna get out of that fucking towel, man? Not a lot, but ultimately you still get some form of like information. And there's a lot of times where you're talking to people and they're just like engaging with you because they don't want to be doing what they're doing. But other times you get people that are interested. And most of the time, the people that are interested are just kind of like only interested because you are not really interested in what you're talking about, but kind of like interested in the fact that you have some form of passion, you have some form of like engagement, you have some form of energy towards what you're trying to do. And your thought process, like I was building my thought process. So it was getting more and more coherent. But remember, like I'm starting from a big, big, big perspective. Like I'm starting with like a we can because I started with the potential of what I wanted to do and how I could actually take like just if I'm able to connect people. And I was thinking literally the same way Twitter does, the same way Facebook does, Instagram does, like Discord does. If I'm able to connect people and I'll be able to kind of like grow this connection into the community settings that I want to be building and the actual setups that we're going towards, like to be able to, like the goal is to be able to verify human beings. And I figured, man, verify that digitally real life. And I had some things in my mind, and I have some had some concepts in my mind towards it. But ultimately, I had to figure out how to approach the business aspect of it and how I'll be able to kind of like onboard the people, and especially the people that are going to be using my platform. So the best way to actually like explain what my platform is an entity. Sorry, man. What I'm doing is I'm building a social network with entities at the core. That's basically it. No social network. They probably exist. They don't exist as big as social networks exist. I don't know. If they do, message me. Every once in a while, I see somebody trying to do something, and it kind of like irks me because I haven't finished mine yet. But I'm still like trying to. I'm still powering through. I'm still not powering through. I'm still like sinking into the actual build up of this. And step by step, I'm actually like accomplishing everything that's required for it to make sense to the world, not to me, to the world, because to me it makes sense, but to the world I have to like establish a lot more. But anyways, it's that time, November, 1st of November, or at the end of October, where I actually met the first guy that was like, I believe in what you're doing, let's do it. The only sad part is neither me or him had any experience at all in working as a team and just like coding. Like he was a fresh, like he just like started learning how to code, and me too. Almost both of us were complete noobs. I had experience with like working with people, negotiating, organizing, logistics, and all that shit. But explaining an idea, translating an idea, elaborating on an idea, man, I wasn't gonna kid myself. Most of the shit I did was super fucking basic. Like, with fact, the companies that I opened and closed were always uh, well, I closed like three companies that are into farming. One was logistics about farming, and one was logistics about just like random transportation. Two were juice companies. One was a garage. I closed a coffee shop and a restaurant. But the restaurant, technically, I rebuilt it. And I slaughterhouse. I tried to build a slaughterhouse once. I succeeded in building it, but the guy I was working with kind of like went, ugh, and started asking for money in order to like kind of make money. And I was like, that's not how it works. You have to kind of like work to make money. But anyways, by the time, what was it? Yeah, I went back a bit. November, December. By December, me and him had gotten in sync with the concept, and we had dove into details, into a lot of details on what exactly it is that we're trying to build. And that's beautiful. I'll explain it completely like in the next video. But there was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of him asking me questions, me explaining, him asking me questions, me explaining, us trying to document stuff, us writing stuff down as much as we can. And it's like every 2 3 weeks, like the plans would shift, and every while, like something would kind of like pop to our heads, and then we kind of go like, what's going on? But anyways, the road to start coding was a lot harder because like you really have to have the concept clear in your head. It has to be like fully set, as in I'll do this now because this is gonna happen. And I'm gonna do this now and this is gonna happen. And tomorrow I have to do this and after tomorrow I have to do this. And the power of actual planning this kind of stuff, I still don't have till now. Like I can actually create a schedule, but the schedule is not really do this, do this, do this. I have to create a slot of time for things to get done And then a day before or 2 days before, like the 2 week planning, 3 week planning thing that people kind of do, I'm attempting it this week because tomorrow I'm actually gonna set up the plan that I have for the next week, 2 weeks to like month. And I have to set up what I want to code and the timeline I have to code it, and I want to see if I'm able to like succeed in it, and just how good I am able to kind of like stick to the deadlines. And if I prove something to myself, that literally means that I will. That literally means that I will be. Well, that literally means I've unlocked a new skill, and I'll have to hold myself accountable and start actually like planning months in advance and days in advance and years in advance. So this is amazing because it's like a completely new thing that would be happening with me, and right, talking about it right now is making my head go, calm down, Tariq. Is this really how you want to approach things? It has to be done that way, but every once in a while you kind of forget, or maybe I don't know. I have no idea. But ultimately, working with that guy kind of like opened up all the ideas possible and opened up all the smaller details and all the thought process possible. And to one point, I think we hired a UI. We did, and we paid her. And after 3 months, she basically charged us enough money. That was all the money that I was getting, and I was getting as well funding from my brother a bit. He was giving me like pocket money for like $500 a month. And back then it was like full on, like I'm building a startup kind of thing until like April or March. By March, me and the guy sat together that I was working with, and it had been like 2 months where me and him were struggling. But mainly, like I looked at him and I was like, "Hey, man, like it really seems like all we're doing is pushing ourselves to get something done." And especially me, like I was always like pushing him to kind of like I was always trying to like redirect him, which literally was my failure because if there was something clear in front of him, he would have been able to do it faster and whatever. But anyways, at that point, I kind of like stopped and I was like, I don't think this should go on. You need to kind of like you need to do different things in order for you to kind of like get out of your funk. And don't worry, man, we're still cool. We literally are super cool. And I think our relationship didn't really stop, but at that moment, we kind of like understood that we had to each like figure stuff out. Aren't we always, right? Thank you.